Gun control. The gun control movement has lost momentum in recent years. The Democratic Party has been conspicuously silent on the issue in recent elections because they know it's a political loser. In the midst of declining public support for new gun laws, more and more states have adopted concealed carry programs. The 9/11 terrorist attacks and rising fears about security only made matters worse for gun control proponents, as millions of Americans were starkly reminded that we should not rely on government to protect us from criminals. Gun control advocates tell us that removing guns from society makes us safer, but that is simply an impossibility. The fact is that firearm technology exists. It cannot be uninvented. As long as there is metalworking and welding capability, it matters not what gun laws are imposed upon law-abiding people. Those who wish to have guns and disregard the law will have guns. Paradoxically, gun control clears a path for violence and makes aggression more likely, whether the aggressor is a terrorist or a government. I don't really believe gun-free zones make any difference. If they did, why would the worst shootings consistently happen in gun-free zones, such as schools? And while accidents do happen, aggressive, terroristic shootings like this are unheard of at gun and knife shows, the antithesis of a gun-free zone. It bears repeating that an armed society truly is a polite society. Even if you don't like guns and don't want to own them, you benefit from those who do. It is better that criminals imagine they face an armed rather than an unarmed population. History shows us that another tragedy of gun laws is genocide. Hitler, for example, knew well that in order to enact his final solution, disarmament was a necessary precursor. While it is an extreme case that an unarmed populace was killed by their government, if a government is going to kill its own people, it will, in fact, have to disarm them first so they cannot fight back. Disarmament must happen at a time when overall trust in government is high and under the guise of safety for the people, or perhaps the children. Knowing that any government, no matter how idealistically started, can become despotic, the founders enabled the future freedom of Americans by enacting the Second Amendment. In our own country, we should be ever vigilant against any attempt to disarm the people, especially in an economic downturn. I worry that violent crime will rise sharply in the coming days, and as states and municipalities grow even more financially strained, the police will be less able or willing to respond to crime. In many areas, local police could become more and more absorbed with revenue-generating activities, like minor traffic violations and the asset forfeiture opportunities of nonviolent drug offenses. Your safety has always, ultimately, been your own responsibility, but never more so than now. People have a natural right to defend themselves. Governments that take that away from their people are highly suspect. Tyrants from Hitler to Mao to Stalin have sought to disarm their own citizens for the simple reason that unarmed people are easier to control. Our founders, having just expelled the British Army, knew that the right to bear arms served as the guardian of every other right. This is the principle so often ignored by both sides in the gun control debate. Only armed citizens can ultimately resist tyrannical government.